Zambia's President Edgar Lungu has ordered the deployment of the military to suppress electoral violence ahead of general elections scheduled for Thursday next week. Lungu says that he's allowed the army, the air force and the national service to help the police deal with the security situation. There's been incidents of violence by ruling party and opposition supporters across the country in the run-up to the vote. The president has cited the killing of 2 ruling party supporters in political violence in the capital, Lusaka, as the reason for the deployment. Lungu is running for a second term in the elections. His main opponent is Hakainde Hichilema, who has unsuccessfully contested for the presidency 5 times before. Lungu says that the troops had already been deployed to some areas in the capital, Lusaka, and would be sent to other areas in the country if the situation demands it. The All People's Congress Party says that the move to involve the army is intended to cause fear and intimidation amongst the opposition. For more on this story, we're now joined to the line by Zambian journalist Arthur Sikopo. He's a correspondent for Channel Africa. Very good morning to you, Arthur. Thanks very much for joining us. Good evening. Always good to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Peter, and good evening. And always a pleasure being on this show and chatting with you.
All right. What is the situation on the ground at this stage? Has this unrest between the political parties been escalating, or is it incidents that are sporadic?
Well, these are incidences that we can describe as sporadic. They've been happening in just different parts of the country, not on a very a large scale, but just some pockets of violence erupting from different parts of the country. Lusaka has been, we can call it the epicenter of this particular violence. We saw just recently both the governing party, the Patriotic Front, and of course the main opposition, the United Party Council of Government, being suspended from going on with their campaigns due to violence. And just recently, 2 days ago, we saw 2 members of the governing Patriotic Front being killed, allegedly by the members of the opposition. So these pockets of violence are just happening in just different parts of the country. And just a few weeks ago, again, we had some similar violence happening in some parts of Lusaka. So the violence where the 2 people were killed was in the west part of Lusaka, which is Kanyama. And we had some violence again 2 weeks ago in the eastern part of Zambia, around Chalala area. And we also had some incidences in some parts of the country, which is on the northern part of the country, in Lungu, where some vehicles were burnt, and of course some people were injured in that fracas. So, but these party cases are increasing. They seem not to be going down. They seem not to be decreasing, but they seem to be on an increasing level.
Arthur, is this something that you've seen in the country before leading up to elections, violence and fighting between political parties?
Yes, this has happened. We have had such incidences. But this particular election, I think these cases are started way too soon. And they've continued as we build up to the election, which is just coming in the next few days, which is just next week on Thursday. We have seen these incidences, and but this particular one seems to be so tense because the 2 leading political parties seem to be having or to be reaching at a peak, or which is maybe at the top of everything, because in this particular election will be a decider for either Edgar Lungu to retire, or Hakainde Hichilema, who is on record saying that after losing, if at all he loses this particular election, he will retire because he has already lost 5 times. And of course, Lungu, Lungu is of course his last term, because he has already served 2 terms, and this one which he's serving is the final one, and he has to step down. So obviously, all of them are geared to win, and obviously they're putting up everything to win. But obviously, they could be putting up something wrong, which is violence, and that's why we see the Electoral Commission of Zambia stepping in, and of course suspending the opposition UPND in Kanyama, where the two people were killed, suspending them from doing their campaigns indefinitely.
As you mentioned, Mr. Hichilema has been campaigning to become president more than 5 times now. So the question is this election closer than ever before, that he could actually win this election? Is it a tight race?
From what is obtaining on the ground, this will be a very tight race. Of course, we saw even last time, the 2016 election, where President Lungu beat Mr. Hichilema. It was also a tight race. But of course, we've seen the opposition, of course, seemingly to be gaining ground, and it will be, of course, a tight race between the two. Of course, we have got 16 presidential candidates contesting in this particular election, but the two are the leading ones, and the rest 14 obviously are just seen to be escorting. So this one will be a tight one, but it will be up to the Zambian people to decide who they want at the end of the day. So both of them are just hoping to see that the Zambian people choose them, unlike choosing the opponents.
There has been a loss of life. So the deployment of the Army, Air Force to assist police, is that being seen as too much force on the ground, or perhaps in line with the situation that the country is in at the moment?
With the deployment of the military to come in and just reinforce what the Zambia police has been doing, from some sectors or some quarters of society, they have applauded that move and saying that because the violence was getting too much to the country, and of course they thank President Lungu for having put up that move to just employ soldiers, of course, to get in and just help maintain law and order. But for other critics, they have argued against that, saying that this is just meant to intimidate the voters from the opposition side, because they feel that the governing party will be favored by the bringing up of the military personnel on the field. But a number of people, of course, on the ground are happy, because they know that obviously their lives are going to be safe as they are going to vote. They will not see the violence that they have been seeing lately. Lately, we have been seeing even police officers being manhandled by political party cadres, and obviously that is one of the things that has made President Lungu to just institute that move and just to have the military come in, because obviously the military are very feared than the Zambia police. Obviously, you don't find any civilian pointing a finger at the military, but of course the police, civilians will point fingers at them and they will harass them.
Is there a fear then that post-election that there could be unrest in the country, given the tensions just in the lead-up?
Well, fear could be there in some people, but fear could not also be there in other people, because they know that, obviously, they feel that when the soldiers have come in, they will help control the situation. But others who are fearing that whatever the decision that comes up, obviously, maybe they feel that maybe the defense forces or the soldiers will defend the governing party. So those are two thoughts from two ends over the deployment of soldiers to just come and help. Obviously, seeing maybe after the elections are passed, maybe after the announcement of whoever wins this particular election, Zambians will have to wait and see how, if maybe the soldiers will retreat from the streets, or they'll still be maintained on the street to just maintain law and order. And obviously, we have seen statements, we have read statements from both of them that encouraging each other to say, from both the leading contenders, encouraging each other to say, whoever loses this race should just accept. We've heard Aka Indechima saying that, and of course we've heard, we've also heard President Edgar Lungu saying that as well. So it remains up to the Zambians whether to maintain peace even after the elections or not.
What has the president been saying to the nation in the wake of all of this violence?
Well, President Edgar Lungu has been on record urging Zambians to be peaceful in their campaigns and urging Zambians to be peaceful in their as they go about their campaigns on a daily basis. And of course, we have heard from opposition leaders, Haka Indechilema, also urging his supporters to be peaceful as we head towards the election. And of course, for Haka Indechilema, he's very confident that, of course, he has gotten this one, and he's just urging his members to just remain calm. Of course, even President Edgar Lungu is also maintaining that he has carried the day and just urging his supporters to just maintain law and order during, before, during, and of course, after the election.
All right, we're in the middle of a pandemic. What is the situation in Zambia ahead of these elections? And is there no concern about an election being a super spreader event?
Concerns have been there on elections being a super spreader of the COVID-19 pandemic. But of late, what we have been seeing is that all political parties that are taking part have been gathering huge crowds as they go and conduct their campaigns. But mostly their campaigns this time around haven't been so much of taking long hours at a particular event. Mostly they will just pass through and just hand over face masks and hand sanitizer to followers. We've seen President Lungu going around the country doing that. And of course, we've seen Haka Indechilema, the opposition leader, doing that. And of course, we've seen these other opposition leaders doing that as they go to campaign. But of course, those in the opposition have been complaining to say that they haven't been free to campaign because at some point the police would stop their movements, would stop their events, saying that they are super spreader events. But for the governing party, most of the time they haven't been stopped, and that has been the cry of the opposition. But of course, the police have been maintaining to say that we are stopping both the governing party and of course the opposition. But the opposition have been crying that they have not been given so much space to go about with their campaign.
Arthur Sikopo, that's where we'll leave it. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on the program. Zikomo Kwambiri.
Zikomo Kwambiri, Peter, and thank you for having me as always.